There we go. We're back now. We're back now for episode 12 of Kick Talk. We're doing all right now. This is pretty cool. We're up to episode 12.
It's on a rhythm, man. It's on a rhythm. I don't know if you peruse LinkedIn, but I did post about Kick Talk on my LinkedIn page as an executive. And there's like 3 people industry leaders who commented on that post that they wanted to come on to the show. So we got some exciting people coming up, man.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the whole fun of it all is definitely trying to mix it up a little bit. And I think today is going to be pretty much a perfect example of getting a slightly different sort of genre of people again. We've got Fousey and Jason Lake. Fousey is he's something else. He's an enigma in of itself, and Jason Lake is just an absolute staple, a pillar of the esporting community, which is insane.
It couldn't be more opposite, man. It couldn't be more opposite with these guests. And that's what's great about this, how this show's evolving, man. It's like what they have in common though is live streaming, right? And so that's why we bring them on, man. But hey, listen, is it cool if I just bring Fousey in and just gas him up while he's in here?
Man, you go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. All right. Hey, Fousey, man, I know. Hey, I know he's getting his camera up. He had a crazy night last night, man. His fight night debuted last night. It was a lot of fun to watch. I think Mike Smalls Jr., I think you had NPC Miles Morales in there. But, just a little background on guys. I know everyone knows Fousey in here, but just from a kick side, this guy came in and started collaborating with all size creators, man. It did not matter. He came in and started collaborating with Widow Bears. He came in and started collaborating with Ice Poseidon, with Neon, with Aiden. I think I saw you do a run with Wood Baby while you were with Ice. This guy's dove into the kick community, and from what I've seen, man, he doesn't play that card of you're with this sector of streamers or this sector of streamers. He just comes in and he has a good time. Let me see if we can get his camera set up again, and then I'll drag him back in here.
Yeah, so I think Fousey is fighting the camera right now, popping in and out a little bit. Fousey, you got us?
Boom! Can you see me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, man, we got you.
I stream and I can't even get my video to work properly. My God.
Hey, man, you got it under control now. That's all that matters. Hey, dude, it's fucking awesome to see you. How you doing?
Hell, I'm doing so good, man. It's always interesting waking up the day after you try to pull something off, because you're either at like an excited hangover where like everything went good according to plans, or you're like on a bender where you're like, oh fuck, I should have done this, I should have done that, it didn't go good. So it's always interesting the day after like we put something together.
Dude, I was gonna say, last night was fucking crazy, right? Like you must be on a huge high right now in terms of like just how everything went. It went like, from what I saw, what I witnessed, like that was a successful event, right?
Yeah, for the first one, definitely. Because for the first one, I always look at it as a pilot, right? You're not trying to go out and do, like, everything's not going to go perfect, but you need to do one to see where you need to make changes and what you need to do differently. So waking up after yesterday's, no, it was through and through. Like, there's a lot of things on the technical side that we could have changed to make it a more seamless experience on the production end and the back end. But in terms of just the product, what we put out, I'm very happy. I'm very satisfied with it. Like 10 out of 10 happy.
Hell yeah, man. Yo, Fousey, in terms of the next one though, when's the next one happening exactly? Before I move on to a few questions, just before we the next fight night.
So we don't have the actual time structure of like the day, how long we're gonna do. I want to do at least 2 a month, if not more. I just want to take it. I want to go city to city.
Dude, I'm gonna hold you that two a month. 2 a month. You tell me 2 a month.
That's on the low end of what I want to do.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not trying to be like this time. I'm not trying to be over ambitious or trying to think too big. I'm trying to think of like logically and logistically what we can pull off. We can definitely we pulled this one off very fast. Like, you remember when we came to you with a rough idea of what we wanted to do, and for how fast we pulled that off, that was a pretty fast turnaround.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah. I think you guys came with it like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, like max, right? And you had like everything that ended up happening, you pulled off as well, which is kind of rare because like a lot of people in streaming, a lot of people in every entertainment industry have crazy ideas, but not everyone can pull it off. And every single thing that you mentioned came to life almost. Like, it was almost like everything was executed on, followed through. And again, congratulations with last night. And if you're telling me there's gonna be 2 of those a month, I think you've got like, if that's episode 1, or that's just like, the first of many, then, where that's going to be like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, that's what we're proud of as well, because a lot of the times I used to just throw the visions out there and have my team put it together, and then when I show up to the actual product, like the dating show, I get mad at what didn't go according to plan. But this one, I sat on every sector with the team to make sure everything went according to plan. Like, we went over and over our outline to make sure, like, this is going to happen this way, this is going to happen this way, from this time to this time is when this happens. So it was good. And in terms of when the next one was, I was hearing that DreamHack is in Atlanta in the beginning of October, and that might be a fun one. The beginning of October in Atlanta might be a fun one.
Well, that's when you're going to run the next one, you reckon? Kind of double it up with, on top and sort of lean on that almost, or
I mean, I just heard of it happening right now. We were talking earlier before you came in, and that sounds feasible. Like, I know Atlanta's gonna have a big boxing community. I like because what we want to start doing as well is adding a little music flavor into these tryouts. So I wanted to sort of end each tryout with a performance of sorts. And if we can get an artist from Atlanta to come be a part of, the night, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Dude, that'd be epic. That'd be awesome. I think you could end up pulling something really cool off with that.
Yeah. The entire Kit community is there, man. It would be a banger, to say the least. And look, not to backtrack too much on it, because I love the DreamHack thing, but like, going back to how you produce these things real quick, is I saw a clip of you kind of saying that you were going to fire your crew, things of that nature. Did you stick it out with your crew here, or is this a brand new crew that you brought in, and then or did you make up and say, guys, I'm going to sit in with you guys and I'm going to show you how it's done, or how I need it done?
No, I stuck out. Apparently,
good on you, man. Good on you.
Apparently that clip went bigger than I thought it would. Just me venting to my stream about my team, and I do that like quite often. But no, we decided to stick it out, work with them. We're already so far deep in with each other. It's like when you're in a relationship. If we were to break up right now, and then I would have to start brand new with somebody else, teaching them my ways, what I like, what I don't like, how we operate, that would slow us down dramatically right now.
Man, I feel you on that. I think, if you've got the right team amongst you, and especially they know how you like to do stuff, because you have your own way of doing everything. Like, you don't like the one thing with you, Fousey, and I think everyone can attest to this, you set the standards, you set the trends almost. You don't really follow what anyone else does. You just go out there and try stuff completely new, and that's what you've been doing, I take, for your whole career. And that kind of leads me on to my first question for you, Fousey. Like your streaming, YouTube, like entertainment kind of career, it spanned like the better part of like more than a decade, right? Like, we're going back for like over 10 years, right? When you kind of zoom out for a second, like, you've done a lot of different stuff, a lot of different things, a lot of different types of content. You've been on a real proper journey. And I don't think many people can kind of, say they've done the same things as you, right? When you kind of look back, what's been honestly the highlight of the last 10 or so years? And you know, on that same note, kind of what are you kind of looking forward to? Like, what's next when you've done that much?
Yeah, I started in 2011. So before Instagram was even an app, I was on YouTube. March 25th of 2011 when I joined, and as you said, I've gone through like every sector of what there is to do on social media. Like we're talking from pranks to vlogs, social experiments to short films to acting in actual traditional movies in theaters to motivational tours. Like I did everything that I was able to do. And I think to me, the highlight just of all of it, this is a hard one, but to me, going off of that answer right there, not being stuck to one, like this is what you have to do, this is what you're known for. If you do anything else, you're not going to be watched. Because I've defied that rule by like getting to the height of pranks, then walking away, getting to the height of vlogs, then walking away, getting to the height of whatever category and walking away at the height of it and being able to start something new. And outside of that as well, being able to do things on my own terms and take however many breaks I've needed. When I first started on social media, I asked one of the biggest YouTubers at the time, what is the rules on me taking a break, like a 2 week break? He goes, you don't. He goes, you leave, you're going to be forgotten. Right when he said that, I said, perfect. I'm taking a break because I didn't want to be like tied to any rules that I wouldn't be able to live by. So, like this year, for example, Eddie, as you know, I had to put my mental health first and focus on rebuilding myself. I got to take a break, come back when I was ready, and just be able to pop back in the scene and be like, all right, now I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, well,
Long-winded answer, but
yeah, man. Well, I tell you what, so many people, right? And we were talking a little bit about this last week, even, right? Like, you know, as a streamer, as a content creator, YouTube, whatever it is, right? Social media in general, people got to stick to their lane, right? They got to they kind of pick something and they stay with it because they're scared, right? You become almost trapped, right? You almost get stuck in this sort of cycle of having to do the same thing, and it's you know it is quite daunting, the fact of going, hold on, I'm going to take a break, or hold on, I'm going to mix up my content, or hold up, I'm going to try something new. Like it's scary. And the fact that you don't give a fuck and just do what you need to do, whether it's, you know, for the best for you personally, whether it's because you want to try new content, you want to try new things, you know, I guess that just is just a downstream, a derivative of who you are as a person, right? You just set your own rules, you do what you need to do. And again, you know, massive respect for that. And, you know, the fact that you can simply leave, whether it's pranks, whether it's vlogging, whether it's any genre at the peak is you know it's honestly, you know, truly impressive, right? And I think you've subsequently had probably one of the most entertaining and fulfilling sort of careers as well, right? I think I assume you've got no regrets on the back of that.
you know, I used to have so many regrets because before you get to where you're going to on the destination, looking back to where you are, you could be really upset as to what you did. But where I am right now, like with what like I am in this current era and chapter of my career, being a streamer on Kick, doing what we're doing, having the operation that, you know, my team that we're doing it in, like when I look back now, I'm like, if all of that didn't happen, I wouldn't be at where I'm at right now. So I have no regrets. I am happy. It all worked out in the end. It all worked out. Like I personally love where I'm at right now with everything in terms of my career, the era, what work we're doing, how we're doing it, who we're doing it with. It's just all so aligned right now.
Yo, on that note, man, what are you looking forward to? And with that, like, how is Kick as a platform able to kind of support you in like, you know, what you're, you know, what gets you excited going forward?
Yeah. I've always, from the beginning, I used to do everything on my own. And that's why the whole joke of I'm going to fire my team, because I've never known how to work with a team. I've always done things on my own. And this is my first time I have a team. And not only do I have a team, this is the first time I have a company that is willing to support the vision and collaborate with me and work with me, and not like I've never had what Kick is offering and what Kick offers with just like a group willing to support my dream and vision, to where like if I have an idea, you guys are there, and like, how can we assist? How can we help you in bringing it to fruition and making it happen? So my goal now, like what I'm looking for and what I'm looking from Kick, the first thing I'm looking for is longevity. Every time I've done this and I've come back, I've gone from 0 to 100. Great, that's fun. Last year I did the 2 month live stream. We got to the top, but eventually that comes crashing down. So I want to do what I'm doing successfully for a long period of time and actually see how big these things can go. Like yesterday's G7 boxing tryouts, great, phenomenal event. We found, I think, two potential stars in the boxing world that can truly do something. But if that was the first event, how big can we truly take this idea, especially with the support and collaboration of Kick? I think, and I know I like to dream big, this could be the next league. Like you have companies like Misfits, like Bare Knuckles, like UFC of all these, the pros at the top level. But what about the people who are looking for a shot and they want to be seen for the top level? This is now their medium of how to get from A to C. They have to stop at B, which is G7 Fight Club tryout.
So this isn't just a creator. This just isn't like a creator league. You know what I'm saying? Like what do you know? You're talking like Dana White, right? But you got this. You got the live streaming influence to it too. So what is the what is the what's the sector you're looking at, or are you just carving one out for yourself? You know what I'm saying?
So when I came up with Happy Punch, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Happy Punch.
Oh yeah.
When I came up with Happy Punch, my whole vision early on in the beginning, in the inception of it was, well, first it was gonna be, I found a kid named Dean the Great on YouTube boxing against the cop. The second I saw him, I hit up my partner at the time and I said, I found a star. Let's sign him, give him an opportunity on Misfits or whatever. Misfits wasn't even like out at the time. Let's give him a shot on a big platform and we manage him in his career. That was the original plan. And then what we were going to do was literally an underground fight club of how people try out for us to sign them. It never came to fruition with Happy Punch. We did sign Dean. Dean is now the lightweight champion of Misfits. He's like 7-0 with 6 knockouts. He's a star now. So now we're finding the new Dean the Greats through this new sector we are carving out, because nobody said, oh, for me to get onto this event, I have to go through G7 Fight Club. Well, we came in and said, do you want to be seen? The amount of entries we got across the world, not just like in the United States, is insanity. People begging us like, I want my one shot. Let me fight at your tryouts. Let me be seen. So it invigorates a lot of hope into a lot of boxers around the world who want their opportunity.
So basically, Fousey, you're telling me you think right now this next chapter of you is going to be heavily based around these events. This is your current big goal, is taking this, this event, Fight Club, to the next level, and truly, what, like you said, making it into a recognized scene league, which allows people who are coming up to truly have a red hot crack at making it big. No different to, like you said, I think I didn't realize, obviously, if you were the one that scouted Dean and got him to where he is today, that's fucking awesome. So if you take that the same concept and apply that to your own event, your own IP, your own, network, that's gonna be epic.
Yeah, and Eddie, and again, I'm not trying to sound over ambitious or like I used to in the past and say too much or promise too much.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. Ambition is good. Correct. Ambition is good.
Yeah. But that's just one of the things we're trying to do. Like, yes, that's going to be a big part of my next chapter for sure. It's going to be great. Like, G7 Fight Club is here to stay, but that's just one thing that I'm trying to do. The way I've been doing my streaming now is I don't want them just to be an empty stream and it ends right there and there's nothing after and there's nothing before. I'm trying to think of ideas that can each have their own lifeline. Like, we have a lot of different other like pilots and ideas that we have for different concepts that can each have their own episodic series on the stream So every stream has that in mind of what storylines can we build and where can we go in terms of the content we're trying to produce. In this new landscape of IRL and streaming, which, wasn't always like this, like it is right now. Even when I was doing my 2-month live stream last year, the landscape wasn't like it is now at all.
Man, I was going to say my next question was going to be in relation to your, what the streaming you did. It was last year, right? It was September, October, November last year, right? Like that honestly like changed the game. That changed the game. Like for months after that, you like, being like we witnessed this, right? We witnessed like IRL was big. There was people doing it. Ice Poseidon, a few other streamers were doing it. But after you did it. And you brought this level of attention to IRL, which was like unseen before, especially on Kick. Like, dude, you weren't streaming, right? And it was like 10 people a day streaming like G7, like, essentially just coming into the streaming community, completely just like copying everything you'd done. The amount of eyes, the amount of attention that it grabbed, like that journey as well. Like it was a full on 2 months. It was a full on 2 months. It was unlike any kind of live streaming sort of, event that had ever happened before. And I guess no different to what you're doing here.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, well, no different to what you're doing with G7 Fight Club. And like you said, all these different kind of ideas you have. Like, I guess what, that's how they all began, right? There are ideas and you just wanted to push the limit and obviously see what extent you can take this to. And naturally, end up setting just, the bar higher and higher and higher and inspiring others to do the same. Obviously, you end up taking a couple months break or a few month break after that. But like, again, it changed the landscape. It truly did. And I think it's like you're mentioning now, it's the IRL section without what you've done, it would be different. That's for sure. It would be completely different. And I guess that's what the goal is, just to continue to pave the way for others and what that kind of looks like going forward.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I was doing the live stream last year, when I knew it was like the first 3 weeks where I knew like what I was doing and how special it was at the time when we were doing it. I would say on my stream, I guarantee you guys, this is going to revolutionize the landscape of this like genre forever. I said that. You can even pull back my VODs. I said, wait till big corporations start coming in and start using live stream as their new medium to release their content. Sure enough, I go into rehab. Not even 1 month into it, I have Nadeem, my partner manager, call me being like, dude, live streaming has changed. So-and-so is doing this. So-and-so is doing this. So-and-so is doing this. I'm in rehab getting pissed off. These motherfuckers stole my idea. Another swagger jacket. But what can you do? Once I've done that so many times in my career where I've paved the lane. Now, I'm not saying I created IRL. God forbid. Ice Poseidon is testament to one of the true goats of IRL. But coming in and turning IRL into what just like with the Fight Club, we're not the first to do a Fight Club. Aiden had his brand risk promotions. He was doing that. But we like to come in, reinvigorate it, and do it differently to do it our way, the G7 way. But yeah, last year, definitely like IRL now, in terms of like what people stream, how they stream based on being IRL, like it's changed forever and it'll never go back. And that's why I can't even recreate what last year was, because just like when I first started my YouTube career, I was one of the only one doing it. So last year, when you had a manic Fousey running around 24/7 live streaming the way I was doing it, nobody was doing that. So it had the eyes and the energy that it did. Now, when everybody and their mother is doing it, it takes away from what it is. And that's why you have to do other things like us doing G7 Fight Club to create your path, because it's not going to work just doing it how you were doing it.
Yeah, I got a quick. I got a quick one, Eddie. Sorry, man. Just selfishly, because what we're doing is we're rolling out a thing called Kick Series programming. All right, and everything you just said about revolutionizing the way that live streaming is and the way that this content is packaged, what you did, what Ice did, what Vitaly has done, what even Handrids has done with taking Kick clips and making it into Kick News, like it's pushing the genre of live streaming. as these up and coming creators come up with ideas and we're giving them shots on the regular on the front page, what advice can you give them that they can like take from you, a veteran of like 10 years, to hone in on their idea?
That is see, and I want to give them something. Can you rephrase your question one more time? Because I want
Yeah.
to give them something good, but I want to make sure I understand the question to know
No,
how
no,
to
no.
answer it.
Okay. So the thing is that I think a lot of live streamers get caught in their own world and they think that what they're doing is the best thing ever, right? So they're not really like, to your point, pushing the boundaries or evolving themselves. So we're starting to take pitches from smaller creators, right? Who are coming to the table and saying, and we're offering them front page in exchange for them to produce well thought out content. So, but they don't have the 10 years that you do putting this together for live streaming. And I think that sometimes they come at it like kind of traditional television.
Yeah, I'm still trying to, because I love when I give advice, especially because I've been in the game for over 13 years. It's like I love that I give advice, but this question just isn't. It's not pink
Yeah,
to me.
Fousey,
Eddie, where are you at with this?
what basically what Andrew said is like, what advice are you going to give these people who are trying to do something differently?
Oh, if just what advice to do something differently? Do it differently.
Yeah.
Do it differently so people can. You want people. You want whatever you do. You want people to love you first, so that way, whatever you do, they endorse.
That's good.
So you want to do things differently, so the viewers that are watching can be invested into you and how you do things. That way, if you ever try to shake it up and do things differently later on, they're still going to be as invested because it's coming from you and you want them to love you first. So if you're ever scared to like, if I do this, how it's different than other people did, how are they gonna perceive it? Do it differently. Get them to fall in love with different, and don't do just the same because it works. And that'll give you a lot more leg room later on to expand, change, shift what you're doing, and not be scared of, will I lose if I change?
Dude, I fucking love that. What you just mentioned there in terms of like make people fall in love with you before they fall in love with what you're doing differently is so important there, because like, again, you could do crazy shit, right, to get views, right? You can do crazy shit and get a whole bunch of people falling in love with the different, right? But making sure they actually fall in love with you as the creator first before it falls in love with just what you're doing differently is incredibly important, especially when you want to pivot and do something else, right? Some days you might just want to chill out and just watch a movie or just like, watch YouTube videos and just chat at your desktop, but you need to make sure that people are engaged with that too, right? They need to fall in love with the personality that's attached with different. That was a great point there, because again, you can do this incredible stuff, line it up, right, and make it incredible for a day, a week, a month or something. But at the end of the day, you got to go back to being you at some point, right? I think that there as well is just incredibly important. Something which is a testament to what you've done, because like you said, you've mixed it up from pranks to vlogging to IRL to boxing to now, of course, all the new plans you have up and coming now, which is again a testament to the fact that it's not the content, it's not the different. The difference is what gains that traction, gains that momentum, but it's you and your personality that people ultimately follow, right? And that's important that it remains like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because one of my favorite days of the week is I do like one desktop a week, and one of my favorites is sitting with them on a desktop, chilling out, watching a movie. And at that point, we have such a parasocial relationship where they enjoy sitting with me watching a movie because we've been hanging out all week doing other things, that they are now hanging out with me watching a movie. So much to the point, when I first came back, I did this last year during the 2-month era, and even this year, Eddie, when I first came back, I forgot, I think June. The first thing I did before I jumped back into the IRL world, I sat down on my desktop for about 2-3 weeks, and I curated the relationship with my audience again, and I called it my core. I was like, let me connect with my core. Sat down, got to know them by username. Thank you to this subscriber. Thank you for this donator. Thank the people, curated a relationship. And then I said, are you guys now ready to step outside? Which then they were ecstatic, excited, and it lit the fuse under it. And the rest was now we're back almost 2 months into it, more than 2 months into it, still doing what we're doing.
Oh man, I fucking love that. Yeah, the idea, yeah, to get the core, touch base with everyone, rekindle that kind of, almost personalized relationship with those people who are willing to sit through no matter what you're doing, and then go outside. I remember you said it, we outside now or something like we going outside. I can't remember what you titled them exactly, but now that clicks. That makes sense now. So it was about like, hanging out inside with people, and then you kind of cut loose, and obviously, that's when the you started upping the ante. But most importantly, that core community, that core segment of your G7 crew or your Fousey's community was there from the get go, and you kind of rekindle that kind of relationship. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got one more question for you, Fousey, before I hand over to you. Again, back on the fact that like you've been doing this for so long, like again, 2011, there really isn't that many people who are still actively in the scene from back then. Like, what advice do you have for Kick as a platform to do better? And obviously to, you've seen, the likes of Mixer and other platforms come and go, and you've seen, the rise and fall of, I guess, OWN TV before Justin TV, before Twitch, before whatever. Like you've seen it all happen, right? What advice would you be able to give Kick and us, in terms of how do we, go toe to toe with the bigger platforms and, ultimately come out on top, alongside you?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is to keep doing a lot of the things that you are doing. Because a lot of the things that you're doing for new creators, small creators, all in the same as big creators, you're listening to them, they're being heard, and you're giving them opportunities. Like front paging is huge. KCIP is huge. The incentives that you do is huge. So I think keeping that real relationship with the streamers and the community alike goes a big way. Like even when I see you tweet under people's tweets and say just gifted you 100 offline subs, like huge. Like what company is, I don't even know if I should call you guys a company, what you like to be called, but what group is doing that, which I think is very, very, very big. Another thing that I've been thinking of, because I've been pondering on this, because I don't only like want to do what I'm doing on Kick, which I'm very happy to be. I want to bring people over to Kick so it can thus get bigger. And I've been thinking about how I want to do that myself personally. One thing that keeps pinging in my head, and I don't know how you guys would do this because there are no ads on Kick, but to have subscribing. Because even me, as like somebody who's been in the game for as long as I have, outside of the loyalty that the audience is showing me by subscribing and gifting subs, there's no incentives behind it for me to ask for more subs, and for them to want to sub outside of the support. And I know there's no ads. So if there was a way to create an incentivized program where both parties win on subscriptions, and I don't know what that looks like or what that would be, I think that would be a huge win for both parties.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think people mention every now and again, like, hey, there's no ads. I like to think that hopefully, that's like a net positive for everyone. Like not having ads it should hopefully ensure like people have way better retention. But no, the fact that it doesn't remove ads obviously makes it a little bit harder. But I guess you obviously get sub badges, you get the sub emotes and stuff, but hey, how do we go step further than that, right? I guess is kind of the question. Yeah. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm sure there's something out there, right? Like there must be something.
There has to be. And I've been trying to think about it. Like I can obviously, as a streamer, make my own incentives. Hey guys, at 250 subscribers, we do this. At 500 subscribers, we do this. But if there's I don't know what it is, and this is just something I want to look into. If there is something that would like that starts an interesting part of the conversation.
Yeah. Now I've got a few people in chat saying they don't want to see ads. The moment we mentioned ads, they're like, no ads. Like,
no, but it doesn't like that's what I'm saying. Not the incentive because there's no ads. Then what does the incentive become that will create? I'm not saying bring ads so we have an incentive. I'm saying what incentive can we have
It's got to be features. It's got to be packaged features that we bring to the table. Yeah. And we could do that. Hey, and I hate to do this, but we got maybe like 2 more minutes before we keep cooking. We're on a tight one, but we've learned so much with you, man. And the G7 Fight Club, I can't wait to see how this evolves. Me personally, I want to keep the conversation going with you around DreamHack because I think that could be a blowout night for you. But I'll digress.
I'm down. I'm down to speak on it. I'm 100% down. I'm not too familiar with what's going on, but I'd love to be a part of it. Like where, we do things right now. The way we do things is I stream from San Diego Monday through like Wednesday, Thursday, and then weekends we're out traveling to the next destination, next project. So we do things weekly, but daily, but through the week. So I'd love to talk about October 2nd.
Hey, Fousey, just quickly, I know I lost track of time. That's my bad. Normally I hand over the questions to you like halfway through, but I just got, so many things for you. Did you have anything, did you have anything you wanted to ask me or ask us or anything, or?
I have one question.
Yeah.
So as you know, I have a bunch of ideas that I'm trying to bring to life, and I'm actually trying to do it properly with my full team that I have right now, step by step, and playing the long game. How much confidence can I put into Kick as a platform, being willing to be there for the long run and the long game, to know that I'm investing my eggs into the right basket? Like, does Kick have plans and intentions of being here for the long game, and like to the point where I can have confidence in this is where I'm gonna put all my baby?
Oh, come on, Fousey. What do you think? We're right here, right now, talking about this. We're here. We're 2 years in nearly. Kick's nearly been. I remember Kick launched, right? When Kick first launched, everyone's like, that's going to last a month. It's going to last 2 months. It's going to last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. After about a year, people stopped saying that. They started going, hold on, these guys serious. Now we're up to year 2. We're up to year 2. We just launched a brand new V2 web, which is fucking crushing it. Like all-time high in terms of stats. If you go to streamcharts.com, you can see the meteoric growth of Kick. Again, like we've been growing a lot in other markets outside of English lately, but we're sitting at almost 400,000 average viewers on any given week right now, live on the platform at any given time. To put that in perspective, that's more than after Amazon acquired Twitch for $1 billion back in 2014. Like Twitch was like 280,000 average or something. So Kick is fucking growing, and it is growing fast, and it is on the tails of everyone else. Again, this is my passion project. I love streaming. I've been streaming since 2014. I did my first live stream in 2013, I think. Again, this is like a dream come true for anyone in like the business world, like working on a project that you're so passionate about, that's so much fun, where you get the opportunity to go up against like fucking like Google's YouTube and Amazon's Twitch and that kind of stuff is literally unheard of. Like, someone like myself having the opportunity to give these guys a run for their money, heck, that is like enough for me to continue this fight until we fucking win, right? Not to mention how rewarding it is being able to speak to people like yourself, everyone else who comes on the Kick Talk, everyone else we deal with, show that this is like helping to change their life, helping them to elevate their content, helping to change the scene. I also feel like Kick is like a beacon of hope in a fucking dying like landscape. Like live streaming is fucking dying, and Kick is here to save it. Like I sometimes feel that way. Like people are sitting there, like sub splits are going down, ad revenue is dropping, like deals are being cut, like everything is going in the direction of this shit's dying, and we're like, hold on, we gotta save this thing. Like we got a duty here almost. Like that is how I feel sometimes. And again, it's never come at a more perfect time because heck, that allows us to capture the market share. So to put it bluntly, like, yeah, obviously we're here for the long run. We're continuing to put our money where our mouth is. We're continuing to invest more. We're continuing to invest time. We're continuing to invest effort. And again, we just fucking love this place, man. And we're not going anywhere. And again, if people think Kick's going anywhere, they're in for a surprise when we continue to grow, continue to outpace expectations. And Fousey, you're going to be here on that ride with us. We're going to be supporting you. We're going to be taking you to new heights whilst you help take us to new heights. That's what we're going to pull off. So again, I can give you words, but most importantly, you come back and you look at this VOD, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, and you go, fuck, that was a silly question because holy shit, these guys knew exactly what was going on. They had it planned out.
See, you asked what we want. The fact that you have this much fire for Kick and everything, that's all the fire that we need into like, yes, All right, Eddie, we got you. Now just sit back and watch what we're gonna do. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Hey man, it's the least I could do. Again, the fact that you invest so much in the platform, we get like how much time and effort goes into it. You're building your career around this. So again, like, you know, we need to inspire you to make sure you know you are putting your eggs in the right basket. And again, I'm telling you right now, man, we've got your back. No different than the fact you've got ours. Like, that's how this works.
Yeah, and before I leave, I just want to say I can, and I'm not just saying this, and I always say this, I have never been more happy, not only with a company, but a place that I can call like my home of doing my work than being on Kick. The way you guys have treated, like not only me, but the creators here, the way you do your operations, just I've never, and I've been on every social media, worked with like some of the biggest. Rest in peace, Susan. Like back at YouTube, like worked hand in hand with her. Never had the experience I'm having here on Kick. So thank you guys so much for that. For giving us opportunity to do what we do.
Hey man, it's completely reciprocal. Again, if it wasn't for the fact that people like yourself aren't putting faith in us, it wouldn't work. So it's the very least we can do. I think, you know, that's just exactly how we operate. You guys are what make the platform. So the least we can do is look out for you and, you know, work alongside to make sure you guys have everything you need to make, you know, again, the most entertaining content. But hey, Fousey, really appreciate you coming on, man. And, you know, as always, we'll be in touch. I think we speak almost every day anyway. So we'll talk soon, man. I really appreciate you coming on Kick Talk.
Thank you guys for having me. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you guys.
Thanks, man. See you soon.
Fousey. Hey, Andrew, if you give me just 2 seconds, I just need to quickly get my... just had a slight technical issue. Just give me a sec.
No sweat, man. No sweat. No sweat at all. Hey, guys, if you get a chance, if you don't know who Fousey is, go drop him a follow. His G7 boxing match was wild last night, getting it going. I think a lot of clips are going viral of Mike Smalls. I think Mike Smalls took a knockout. I think NPC Miles Morales was out there doing his thing. What I would really like to see in that boxing ring is like an overhead cam. I know they're evolving it. It was like the first thing, but like an overhead cam, so you can see that action, because I really like how the crowd is like in it, and it's kind of like the ring ropes. Boxing on Kick is going to be a lot of fun. Chappers, it's good to see you in here, man. Hey, listen, Chappers is going to be doing the front page series program, guys. He came in with an unbelievable concept. I think you guys are going to love it. But also coming up, we're going to have Jason Lake of Complexity Gaming. He's coming in hot, man. This guy is a pillar of the esports community. That is not hyperbole, like, at all. This guy has been having ups and downs with esports. He was with Complexity, and then he bought Complexity, and he's running Complexity now. But this guy was doing LAN events when everything was effing wired together, and just back in the day, just pioneering the esports landscape, and then being in it, right? Not just like as an executive, but like as a tournament organizer. So he's done so much for the esports landscape, and Kick is trying to get into the esports landscape, right? We've got PGL over here. We got Blast TV over here. We partnered with DreamHack, which is one step away from ESL. So listen, we're really excited about bringing this guy on. Eddie, you cool if I bring him in?
Yeah, all good, all good.
I'm
I'm sorting out, so I just had to, easy.
Hell yeah, man. All right, I'm going to drag him in, man. But listen, Jason Lake, man, it's a big time honor to have you on here, man. While you get your camera ready, let's see if we got him.
There he is.
There he is.
What's up?
Hell
How are you guys going?
Damn good to see you. Hey man, real quick, before we get into this, right? I just want to give just a real quick story about meeting you for the first time.
Man.
And you know, Eddie, I think I might have told you, because I came back I was at Dallas DreamHack like back in 2023. And I was just there checking out the DreamHack scene and yada, yada, yada. And kind of had this exchange back and forth with Jason on Discord where he was going to be there, right? But I didn't realize that this guy was like the mayor of IEM at DreamHack, right? Like imagine a stadium, 5,000-6,000 people. He's up there accepting an award. This guy is giving the speech of his lifetime, and everyone is soaking it in and absolutely loving him. And you can totally feel the respect that was earned in that arena. That's not just like an overnight thing. That's a career. That's earned in a career, right? So anyway, the guy goes back and sits down in his seats, and I quietly go up there and I tap him on the shoulder, and I say, "Hey, I'm Andrew Santamaria with Kick." This guy gets up from his seats in his moment, and he spends like 5 minutes, 10 minutes with me, getting to know me. Meantime, every kid in the arena is coming up to him, shaking his hand, saying thank you. And he just gives me his undivided attention where he could clearly just look at me and be like, "Hey, man, just not now. Call me later. We'll talk, yada, yada, yada." But I'd like to think that he understood what Kick was trying to do in the space. He understood what you were cooking up, Eddie. And so I really just appreciated the time that he gave for someone that he'd not known or had met. And I think it's just, I just want to give an overview of like, that's the quality of people that we want to continue to work with, right? Like Fousey is a completely different world. Jason's in a completely different world, but they're both genuine people and they're both authentic. So I just want to share that story because
kind.
I was really impressed by it when I first met you, man.
Oh, you're too kind. I really appreciate that. And, I try to be like that with everyone as much as humanly possible. I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day, but you're right. Like from the very beginning, I've had my eyes on Kick, and I am a big believer that the space needed another platform. I mean, the Purple Giant had been doing its thing for a long time. YouTube was doing streaming, but it's always going to be known primarily for VODs. So, as I expressed then, and Eddie and I have talked multiple times in the past, I am a big believer that there's not only room for another platform, there's a need for another platform. And having that competition pushes the ecosystem, the streaming ecosystem, the production quality and levels. It continues to push everything. Whereas if you have a virtual monopoly in the streaming world, which Twitch arguably had for a while. I mean, Mixer and its competitors fell flat on their face. I don't think that's good for the ecosystem. I don't think it's good for live streaming. I don't think it's good for gaming. I don't think it's good for esports. And so that's why when I saw Kick launch, I was definitely intrigued and was really honored to meet you and appreciate you spending some time with me. And Eddie and I have had multiple talks despite the crazy time zones. I can't get him to come visit Dallas. I've been trying to get him to come for a year and a half, but. No, I appreciate that very much, and yes, I am cheering for Kick and have continued to cheer for Kick since the launch. So I appreciate you having me on today. Thanks.
Yeah, Jason, thank you so much for coming on, man. Again, understand that you've got a hell of a busy schedule since, especially since taking back full control of complexity and everything that's going on there. You mentioned a really, really important thing though, that we kind of just had him in a chat with Fousey a little bit loosely about there, and that is obviously the kind of not the dangers, but I guess the complex, the problems with having almost like a monopoly on a certain area, right? And the downstream effect that has on other industry, right? Big one that I've noticed, especially recently, is esports, right? Esports is definitely starting to get, it's getting hard. It's getting hard out there. And even on the live streaming space, which used to heavily support it, you're seeing a lot of changing dynamics, and that's scary, right? That's what happens when there's not much competition out there. When there's not much competition, suddenly what was a thriving ecosystem of everybody getting their fair share and getting rewarded, suddenly people realize, hold on, we don't need to do that anymore. We can take the whole cake and eat it, right? And again, you probably you understand this better than anyone, right? But the dangers of that happening and what that can end up doing, not just for individuals, but organizations, or even the esports as a genre, right? Like it can certainly be quite scary. And again, we're in conversations with a lot of different people who are feeling the effects of this. And I'm sure again, you understand this better than anyone else. And, you just make an interesting point about live streaming needing that competition. That's, just
Absolutely.
being able to expand on that
100%.
would be amazing.
100% agree. And, first, let me say, like, what Twitch did for the esports ecosystem and gaming in general, and what it did over the years, I will never take away. There were years literally without Twitch's support, Complexity would have gone out of business. So I want to always express that gratitude. I want to always be real honest about the impact Twitch had, not only on the larger ecosystem, but on my own company. And I knew most of the founders of Twitch. I was friends with them. I knew most of the executives of Twitch. I watched Twitch come up. I remember being at the dog park when I got a notification on my phone they sold to Amazon. Like, what Twitch has done, will always be very appreciated. But I can share a conversation I had in Riyadh last month. Twitch was out in Riyadh for the Esports World Cup closing ceremonies, and I had a meeting with them, and I was very honest with them. I said, look, I will always appreciate what your predecessors, because none of my friends are in management. Everyone has left. All the OGs have kind of moved on. Now it's more of a Amazon corporate type of structure that I'm not necessarily a big fan of. But I said, I'm always going to have this gratitude, but I want to tell you something. You abandoned us. You left us. And now it's just another thing when esports, Twitch was built on the back of esports, and a lot of the influencers and talent that originated in esports and went on to be streamers, the Shrouds of the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then when they started getting the pencil pushers in and looking at the Excel spreadsheets, quite frankly, and Amazon's pissed, they're losing money. They start running more ads. They stop sponsoring the events. They stop collaborating and sponsoring with the teams. And I was very honest, as politely as I could say it, like, you abandoned us. We'll always be grateful for what you did in the past, but you've abandoned us in the present, and that's the reality. And like I've told you before, Eddie, I sincerely believe there's a huge window of opportunity for Kick to really step in and really make an impact during the quote unquote esports winter, because it's incredibly difficult out there. Since I've got Complexity back, we've managed to score some wins, and I'm having additional conversations and traveling the world, meeting with some really awesome potential partners. So we're actually in a pretty good position, but I know for a fact, like I said, that there's a lot of organizations struggling. A lot of good people have lost their jobs in this ecosystem. Part of it was due to overinvestment and inflated valuations, and people getting kind of out ahead of their skis. But part of it was due to a decrease in marketing and partnership revenues, and Twitch is a huge part of that, because Twitch had really been a pillar of the industry. And like with any building, you go in and you take a sledgehammer, you knock out a pillar, you're going to lose the structural integrity, and that's what's happened to esports. So I hope that Twitch will kind of revert, and Twitch will return to being a bit more supportive, whether it's the leagues, the teams, the different parts of the esports ecosystem. But the reality is they've kind of abandoned us, and I think this is a great opportunity for Kick. And I know you guys have been doing some great things. Like Andrew and I met at DreamHack. You've been working around that. You got some great creator programs. I hope in the future we can see Kick collaborate, with some teams and run your own events and things that we've talked about in the past. I know the platform itself is a huge Herculean lift to continually improve it, accept that feedback from your streamers, and it's a lot. And like you said earlier when you're talking to Fousey, you're not even quite 2 years old yet, right? You're just about to enter your third year, and I know what it's like being a startup, and I know what it's like trying to get all these things sorted out. But the one thing I am confident of is platforms will continue to improve, right? The platform is always going to improve. Paulie's doing a killer job. You're going to continually accept feedback. On some level, you're never going to get there because people complain no matter what. You could have this super platform that is the best platform in the universe, and some people are still going to be bitching about this feature or that feature. People still bitch about Twitch, and they've been, tweaking their platform for how long now, right? But the platform will get there because it's a tech platform. You've got a good team. What my advice would be to the Kick team is, how do we kind of really start focusing on what does a Kick brand mean to the gaming ecosystem? Like, I know you've got strength in South America. I know you're really a leader in some of the IRL stuff. You've got huge names, XQC, Nick Merckx, and people doing content. How do you best plug into esports in an authentic way? How do you meet the community where they are and be like, you know what, maybe you haven't liked us for the first couple of years for whatever reason, you don't like this streamer, you don't like this controversy, whatever that might be, but how can we come alongside, show that we're sincere, show that we're genuine, work with really good people, we want to invest in your ecosystem, we want to be here for the next 20 years, like we want to be a meaningful part of that. And I think that's the question. It's a marketing question, it's a branding question, and it's a community question. And if I'm just always being transparent and really honest with you, like I have been since we met, I don't know, a year and a half ago, Ed, like the platform has grown leaps and bounds for less than 24 months. I mean, it's crazy. Paulie and his team are generally crushing it. The issue with Kick lies in its brand perception by the majority of the global esports and gaming ecosystem. Rightfully or wrongfully, I'm not judgmental. To me, Kick is a platform. I could do cool stuff on Kick. I'm actually pitching the Jason Lake show to a couple potential sponsors, and I might go back on air and do my own thing. To me, like, you know, I'll be restreaming it, multi-streaming, that's what I'm trying to say. I'll be multi-streaming it on Kick. But even like when I tweeted yesterday, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna meet with Ed and do this show and talk about Kick. Like I'm getting messages, I'm getting bombed because you have a perception issue. That is just being sincere and being honest. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but if I am Ed and I've accomplished the amazing things that you've accomplished at your young age, I'm like, what is my marketing team doing about this? What is my community team doing about this? I mean, I see Andrew out hustling all the time. He's running around DreamHack. I couldn't even catch up with him at DreamHack this year because he was so busy with all your wonderful creators. You got DreamHack Atlanta coming up. I see him on Twitter all the time. Like he's out hustling. But what else are we going to be doing? I think it's super cool. You're an Australian company. I think it's unique and I think it's awesome. But obviously, there's other regions of the world that kind of drive this ecosystem. What are we doing in North America? What are we doing in Europe? We're getting traction in South America. What are we doing there? Are we going to open an office there? Are we going to be running tournaments there? Are we going to be engaging communities directly where they live? I think these are all questions as you continue to grow and enter your third year that you should be asking. And I know you will be asking. And I'm really excited about where Kick is going. And I promise you that redemption arcs are real. When I first started Complexity, everyone thought I was this evil villain. Everyone hated my guts. The 2004 movie Complexity Redemption captures what the community sentiment was about me and my organization until we had a couple breakthrough moments. Then all of a sudden, everybody loved us, and we captured that showing the community forums in the beginning of the movie, and then we go through this big tournament, and then the same community forums at the end of the movie. So I'm really confident that you've got smart people, you got great guys like Andrew and Paulie and other people on your team. That'll be able to figure it out. But my encouragement is, hey, you guys are killing it in F1, man. I see you guys at UFC. I see you on all these different fights. Like I see Kick and I see Steak everywhere. And I think you're doing a great job. But you need to really look at the gaming team itself. Get Andrew some extra help. And I met Ali in Riyadh as well. Love Ali. Think he's a fantastic guy. I would listen to the people that come from the gaming ecosystem that understand it best to really elevate Kick and really start to just kind of redefine, because I've had conversations with you guys and I know where your hearts are at. I know you're sincere. I know you want to plug into gaming. I know you want to plug into to esports because we have these conversations. But the overwhelming sentiment in the ecosystem right now is quite different because they haven't had the opportunity like me to sit down with you and have human one-on-one sincere conversations, which I'm grateful for. But that's my advice anyway. So I'm really excited for Kick. I'm really excited to where it's going to be going in the coming years. I know at some point, just due to the realities of business, you're going to want to figure out ways to monetize it, and ads are dirty words. But I know you got really smart people over there, and you'll figure it out. My encouragement after being in this business for 21 years, and I've been through more than one down phase and recession and market correction, is that this is the perfect time. Everything is on sale. Like if you want to make a move, the time is now, because once it starts swinging up and the prices and everything starts to kind of normalize to a more average level, everything's going to cost more. The opportunity window is going to be closed. And, it's not that you can't do it, but I think it's going to be more difficult. So I'm really bullish on Kick. I want to encourage you guys, like, we can't just have the purple giant sucking up all the air in the room. And I know you guys have made a lot of traction. Like you said, you're 400,000, and that's more consecutives than when Twitch was sold to Amazon. But I also remember like last spring of 23 or early summer of 23, you guys put up that graphic on that website. It's the kick percentage and the Twitch percentage, and the bars are going across. I still have that on my desktop, by the way. And you said, I have a goal to get to X percent. I don't remember what it was. It's in my Twitter timeline. And that bar has still remained flat. So I think you want to surround yourself with more great people like Andrew, like Ollie. Um, and I heard Melissa's back in consulting with you guys. I think that's awesome. I love Melissa. Um, Surround yourself with more group people on the gaming side. You got the traditional sports down. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. I think the brand ubiquity is really spreading around the world. I think it's fantastic. But the esports world, the gaming world, is what's really going to lift up Kick. It's going to, be the rocket fuel to take you guys to the next level. So I don't know if I answered your question in a 5-minute rant, but
I think you answered the question. Plus, like, I feel like I should have just been taking a few notes here, and I might actually just go back over the VOD and kind of like jot a few down, because the words of wisdom and the advice there is, again, coming from a veteran in the industry like yourself, like I don't think there is many people who have been in the esports and subsequently in the live streaming industry since like day dot, right? And that's you, right? And everything you mentioned there, don't get me wrong, there is hurdles. There is a lot more hurdles to this live streaming business. And fuck, I went into it, I'm like, oh, this will be easy, we just make a platform, you just bring a few streamers on, let's just sign a few people, no worries, we'll get it done. But like shit, then we realize, okay, hold on, there's like 85 fucking layers to this that we need to figure out, and it is complicated, and it is a really, really big job. And again, that only excited me more, because I was like, hold on a second, this is, it's great, it's interesting, there's a lot going on, and there's problems and issues that you have to deal with that you just have no idea about. And to be fair, to your point as well, you're giving credit to Twitch when it's due. Now that we've been on this side of the fence, we're like, hold on a second, we get it now. We get it why they do that. We get why they do this. We get why they do that. Like, we're like, hold on, they've done an incredible job. And, testament to them in everything that they've achieved in getting live streaming to where it's at today. But, to the discussion on esports, right? I think a big part of that, and as you mentioned before, in terms of like the pillars and what sort of built live streaming, it was on the back of esports, right? I know I found out about live streaming on the back of esports, whether it was, the league finals or whatever it was, right? I think a good portion of people, got there through esports, right? And it does seem like that has been forgotten. Maybe it's because this kind of new guard has come in, and this new sort of corporate, I think you called it, the people kind of, analyzing the Excel sheets, right? I think they've kind of forgotten. And to your point before, the fact everything's on sale right now and the opportunity being ripe, I don't think it's going to change the fact that opportunity is wide open. And all it takes is the right people, the right mission, the right vision in terms of how to kind of, change that perception. Because you're completely right. In the esports community, in the general gaming community, where Kick is right now is not where we want it to be. We want it to be way elevated. We've found a few niches that we've done well in, great, but that's not good enough. Niches aren't good enough. We want everything, right? That's the only way. That's the way, these things work. And we say this time and time again, the key to mass market adoption for live streaming is esports, and how do we break into it? It's a conversation we have all the time, right? But it is to that point as well. It's not just as easy as saying, okay, we're going to ask this person, this org, that org to join. You can't just do that. It is a broader perception. There's a broader branding. There is a broader marketing play at hand that needs to be addressed. There's a broader community that needs to be, welcomed and onboarded. And it is definitely difficult, right? It is definitely difficult. And there's a hell of a lot of challenges that need to come from that, right? But to kind of go to that point, it doesn't change the fact that, you and I, we've had conversations multiple times, right? Our intent, our understanding that we realize that, from the get-go, how important that community was going to be. And I still like to think that we're, again, we've been speaking about it for a while. It's only year 2, coming into year 3, but we're going to get around to it. And when we do so, right, it's going to be, with a really big bang, and it's going to be done in a way which, ticks all those boxes, and we understand exactly what people are looking for. And, as you said, the time certainly is now. We just need to get the right people on board.
you know, as you get older and you just got more miles under your belt and a little more experience, you chuckle more often. I think that's why you see kind of older people, you know, just chuckling while they're sitting in the park feeding the pigeons or whatever. And right now, the narrative's like, oh, esports has failed. Esports is so bad. Esports is so terrible. And it's just like, don't believe any of that bullshit for a minute. Did people overspend? Absolutely. Were there poor investments made? Absolutely. Have some games gone and some games go, new games come. But you look at the overall viewership, you know, I've said 1,000 times, look where the puck is going, not where the puck is. And how many people are playing video games? How many people, it's just part of their lifestyle. How many people like watching the best players in the world at whatever game they're passionate about? It's still just a hockey stick up. And, you know, it's still just exponentially growing. And all the times like, oh, esports, it is terrible. And oh, it's a terrible investment. It's like, no, you just made bad investments, you know. And I'm just laughing because right now everybody's down in esports. Everything's going to be, you know, doom and gloom in every article in Forbes. You know, it's just funny to me how these things go and people hop on these bandwagons. The reality is esports isn't going anywhere. It's a digital sport for a digital future. It's probably already the biggest sport in the world next to football, soccer, we call it in the United States. You look at the player base, you look at the viewer base, you look at the opportunity, and then people are like, oh, the esports winner, it's terrible. Esports is dead. It's just kind of funny. At Complexity, we knew this correction was coming because we've been around for so long, and we saw round after round raised in 400 $500 million valuations, and just the spending on player buyouts and salaries, and things were getting so inflated and so crazy. And we tried to chart a bit of a different course. We tried to stay much more nimble, much more lean, operate our business in a different way. This often means during these bubbles that you're not hoisting as many trophies as you'd like to. It takes discipline and self-restraint not to go out and really just blast a lot of money on buyouts and hire the very best players so you could stand on that stage and just revel in the you know, the glow of a championship. But we have a much longer term perspective. We don't pretend to have all the answers. We're certainly not perfect. We're actually been blessed to make so many mistakes over the years and learn from those mistakes. And that's why we make a lot of good decisions these days. But yeah, esports built Twitch. Esports is going to remain incredibly critical to the growth of Kick over the years. People will watch it for the interesting trends that change, like you're talking about with Fousey, and it might be IRL, and it might be this, and there's still streamers redefining what does this look like. You know, they're doing Elden Ring with giant elaborate sets, and they're having celebrities on their streams, and all this is really fascinating. But the bottom line is one of the pillars of any streaming platform in your genre is always going to be gaming, and it's always going to be competitive esports. So I think the more opportunities you get to really invest in that, the more opportunities you get to really build up programming and surround yourself with people that understand it at a deep level, the longer Kick is going to be effective in this market. And, you know, history proves that right. And I'm confident if you study all the demographic data, it's going to show you where the eyeballs are going to be in the next 20 years.
What's the thing?
Real quick, just to jump in here. Sorry, Eddie, because we got about 10 more minutes, and I just want to direct the conversation into, you know, anything hard hitting that you guys want to cover. But just to a point on Jason and what you're saying, like, that's why we got the PGL over here. That's why we got Blast TV over here. That's why we continue talks with the ESL. We totally recognize everything.
I love Sylvia over PGL. That was a great move, by the way.
Yeah. So we totally recognize everything that you were saying, and it's an open invitation to esports teams to come over here and start setting up camp, because it's coming. We totally buy into everything that you just said. Awesome. And you know, people like Team Secret, you know, who've come over, and you know, the tournament organizers have come out. Jake Lucky streams on Kick, so the breadcrumbs are there. It's signaling there. So I think for us, we got to get that product up to par that the esports community is accustomed to, and we're getting it there. So sorry, Eddie, but just wanted to redirect the conversation for the 10 minutes, whatever you guys want to like hard hit on, right? And make sure that no one walks away from this interview and saying, I should have said this or I should have brought this up.
I'm an open book. Shoot, Eddie, go for it.
My questions are easy, man. Normally the hard questions come to me, dude. You've got things down pat, but like from my side,
Oh,
like
I try,
think,
man. I don't have it down pat. Go for it.
From my side, right? I think like you mentioned right that the data will show you where the eyeballs are, right? And that's the truth. Right now with live streaming, the eyeballs are on gaming. Gaming is 75-80% of all live streams right now across across everything. So what comes from that is esports. Esports is where people come to watch that, and then subsequently they end up streaming their own gaming because they watch it there, right? So again, to just plug into what you mentioned there before, completely understand. That's why we share that same vision that once the esports come to the platform, that will be the the derivative of what drives the the subsequent gaming streams and the next Nick Mercs and the next gaming streamers who then just continue to keep that audience on the platform, right? So just to your point, but again on that point, you mentioned like everyone talking about kind of esports dying and all that kind of stuff, which is again, there's trends, right? Things go up and down. I don't think it's dying at all. If anything, I think gaming is getting bigger, and subsequently esports will get bigger as it continues to get big. But that's we talk about streaming live trends, but what do you believe are the trends in esports right now? What's currently exciting you? Is there any potential game changers that are up and coming? Are there any esports that you think are going to potentially take over your standard pillars like Dota and CS2 and League and stuff? Like, is there anything up and coming on your horizon that you think maybe Kick needs to get ahead of right now because that's like it's the next big thing? Or is that am I asking questions that are too proprietary?
No, not at all. And I think it's a great question in terms of what game is next. I'll be really honest and be like, I don't know. The perfect example I'll give you is Fortnite. Back in the day, I had never heard of Fortnite. I had no idea what the hell Fortnite was. The BR category, Battle Royale, was barely a thing. And then it just took over the world literally in a matter of like 6 months. And Ninja streaming with Drake. And it's just like, what the hell is going on? So to say, oh, we saw that coming or whatever wouldn't be honest. I think the beautiful thing about gaming is you're never quite sure which game is going to break through, which game is going to capture the heart of both the player and the audience. And we always have our eyes on different games. We're always watching different games, the obvious contenders, the deadlocks. And, I think in terms of what technologies might be directly intersecting with esports and gaming over the coming years. You get the buzzwords, Web3, AI, things like that, and people roll their eyes. But I do think it's inevitable that they both have a major intersection with the gaming marketplace. I could go on and on about Web3. I might be speaking at an event in Manila in November. And then AI, how is that going to affect everything from how we produce content to how we train our gamers to actually playing the games, whether it's a single player, the NPCs are all, interactive, or in a competitive side, how can we use that type of technology to draw up strats based on data that the human mind might not notice, but AI would. So I'm really fascinated with how these things are going to intersect. And I've always been very conscious my entire life. First of all, I got into esports when it wasn't even a thing. And I was already, I don't know, 30-ish years old. This was, well, I'm going to date myself. This is 21, 22 years ago. People thought I was nuts, but I got into it partially because I've always been a huge believer of reading and researching and staying on the cutting edge of whatever is next. So since 2017, I've been really diving down the Web3, Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain world to understand how is that going to affect everything that we do, and most specifically, how is that going to affect gaming and how is that going to affect esports. And I am very convinced that the technologies underlying blockchain are going to intersect with video gaming in a very meaningful way. And it's going to change how people look at all these items we purchase in games and how we interact with each other in games. And we're going to look back at 10 years and be like, I can't believe they used to spend money on games back in, 2019. And they got like virtually nothing. They got some pixels on a screen. But I won't go down that rabbit hole for too long. But no, that's a really great question. In terms of games, we always have our eyes on at least probably 5 to 10 games that we think have potential. We're monitoring the communities. We're monitoring the player user numbers. We're monitoring the competitive features that the game has or doesn't have. For example, back in the day, a game I really liked was called Titanfall. I was really good at it. I was actually top 10 in North America for quite a while. And I was trying to reach out to them. I'm like, you need to add competitive features. You need to make this an esports because it's going to add the longevity of your game. It's going to be a much more popular game. And they just literally came out and said, we have no interest in esports. Well, where'd Titanfall go? Luckily, they took the technology and turned it into Apex Legends, which happens to be a pretty damn popular game. Our guys were just playing in Germany a week ago. But that they just kind of stumbled into that the BR genre where I feel like Titanfall could have been a fantastic first person shooter. So we're always watching those types of things, the complexity, always making sure we're at the cutting edge. We also run not a lot of people know this, but a significant portion of our business is actually event production. We do a lot of what's called white label for the viewers that might not know, like let's say Coca-Cola wants to run a gaming tournament, but they don't know how to run a gaming tournament. So we'll work with clients. We work with the Navy, work with the Army, work with other clients that we're actually the infrastructure behind their gaming tournaments, to help diversify our revenue streams. So I'm very interested to see what kind of technology and how this is going to intersect also with the broadcast and production. um, we've experimented over the years with multi-view and different forms of streaming and different forms of coverage. Even in traditional sports today, you see these places where you can go and you're sitting kind of in a half bubble, almost like the Sphere in Vegas, and it's like you're in the end zone of an American football game. So you're having a cocktail and you're like, the ref is right here and you're watching from a completely immersive experience. I've also seen that with NBA games. So the question is, how is this technology going to evolve to make the streaming um, experience completely different than we view it today? And I think people that are asking those questions and staying on top of the latest trends and really doing their homework, that are way smarter than me, are going to answer those questions. But I think that's something that Kick should be watching because, like I said, and I told Ali this in Riyadh, Kick is already a really solid platform for 2 years in. I've said Paulie's name a few times. Seriously, like fantastic job to where you're at, and it will continue to improve. The platform is a platform. I think what's going to make or break Kick is the strategy. Is where does the brand sit in the global mind's consciousness? Like, what are we doing? To really establish Kick as a Twitch, Instagram, a TikTok, I guess you could say now, and X. Like, how are we doing that? Because the platform's going to come. There's no doubt the platform's going to come. And like I said earlier, even 3 years from now, when it's the best damn streaming platform by far, there's still going to be some people bitching. You can't take that to heart too much. Just you're always going to be improving. You're always going to be moving on to the next iteration of what the platform looks like. But I think sometimes in a tech company, you can get so focused. It's so like ingrained in the platform and the technology, you forget the branding, you forget the engagement with the community, you forget kind of thinking outside the box and what's next. And I'm not saying you are. This is just my advice. Like, position the Kick brand as really a diversified platform, not just for one segment of any one genre or any type of streamer. And I think the diversified esports ecosystem offers a way for you guys to do that because you can reach out and intersect with so many gamers and so many different communities authentically, and become the ESPN type platform where everyone just sees that word and they instantly know what it is, and they've got a good visceral reaction to it, and you can continue to build your brand from there. But overall, I mean, like I said, you guys are almost 2 years in. What is it, next month, right? So congratulations on how far you've come. I can only imagine some of the challenges of building up and building out a platform like this. I remain an ally in the ecosystem, and I remain available. um, if my advice is ever valuable on any level, obviously that's why I'm up on a Saturday morning, drinking the new complexity glitch favor that you'll be able to buy in Walmart soon. to be awake enough to do this on Saturday morning, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. And I remain available because I want Kick to succeed.
No, that
Sincerely.
means a hell of a lot, right? I think as you just called it, an ally in this scene is exactly what we need. And the branding, you know, and the way the broader community sort of envisions the platform and sees the platform is it's an incredibly difficult subject to sort of, you know, completely master, right? Like how we go about that, the strategy which you mentioned before is truly going to be what is game changer, right? Like, you know, again, I really liked what you mentioned, the whole idea of getting caught up in the tech and whatnot, the product side of stuff. You know, we certainly do get caught up in that at the moment. We understand, hey, look, there's a gap, but that gap will get fixed. Like that is easy. That's an easy problem to solve. Solving a technological gap, that's like a visible gap that you can go, okay, we need to get from here, we need to get to here. That's easy. The strategy, the way you go about actually taking that technology and utilizing it to actually, you know, change a shift in mentality, that there is completely different. That there is what separates, you know, the successful platforms that you just mentioned before, you know, the behemoths to the hundreds, the almost probably thousands of platforms that have had technology to compete but haven't got there, right? And you know how you go about doing 100%. That, it's going to be tough. And are we having discussions about that? Hell yeah, we are. Are we having them daily? Yes. Are we figuring out that what we thought 1 year ago is no longer the answer? Yes. You know, are we making mistakes every week? All the time, right? But you know, again, I think you know, the one thing, despite the fact what you mentioned there, you know, it's a daunting problem when you lay it out like that, Jason, because you are, you know, you are a veteran in this industry. You are a successful businessman. You have been down these paths before, these challenges before. It's daunting. It's daunting the way you position stuff. You know, the way that you almost explain everything. You're reiterating exactly what we kind of already know to an extent, is we have a big hill to climb, a hell of a hill to climb. We have a long way to go, right? But, you know, there's a bit of solace in that for me personally, because, you know, going back to what you mentioned before, you know, you mentioned before when you take out a pillar, you lose that structural integrity. And I think what we're up against is platforms that have lost their pillars and their structural integrity it's not there, right? And again, the competition and the moment that we have right now is absolutely perfect to start shifting those perceptions, because it's whilst an incredibly difficult journey ahead and a lot of work and a lot of strategic decisions and correct strategic decisions are going to need to be made. You know, I don't think there's ever been a better moment to capitalize on actually doing that and you know, putting, you know, not just talking about it but actioning it, right? Because I think a lot of people can talk about like, hey, look, we can do X, Y, and Z to get there, but I think very few people have the you know, have the opportunity to be able to action. And I think Kick is in that beautiful position, a really prime position to be able to action exactly what you mentioned.
I absolutely do. And I absolutely agree with you. And what I encourage you to do is make sure you surround yourself with people that get it. And when I say get it, it's not the Excel guys. You need those guys to run a business. That's fine. It's not even necessarily the platform technicians, because like you said, they're going to get there. They're going to get there. It's going to continually improve as long as Kick is alive. You need people who understand the qualitative, visceral gut of the communities. And you could delegate that. You can find the right people. You can plug them in your organization. I know Andrew understands gaming in a gut level. And that's what's missing in a lot of companies, because it's usually the first thing in recessions and macroeconomic downturns like we're experiencing right now to get cut are the people who study and evaluate the qualitative things. It's the people who can run an Excel spreadsheet that can find you cost savings and cut this and cut that. Those are the people that usually are safe because they're driving numbers on a spreadsheet. The companies that succeed, in my opinion, are the ones that also value the qualitative side of the business, can think a little bit longer term than just a P&L for the next 2 quarters. And those are the ones that build something special. You know, I'm a bit of an Elon Musk fanboy. That's become politically dangerous to say in the United States because he's been quite verbal about politics, but I've been long before he was into politics. And you study some of that vision, you study, like, he knew where the pucks were going, and he knew it was going to be super difficult to get there, but it was the qualitative vision and leadership of the people he surrounded himself with that actually ultimately led to Tesla, to Starlink, to all these things that he's accomplished was because he was visualizing the qualitative end result of what he was building. He stayed humble and was willing to always adjust strategy to accept feedback, and he surrounded himself with the right people. You guys keep doing that, and I'm really confident that you're going to have something really special. And a lot of us, like I said, have not always necessarily exited the gate in our first 2 or 3 years in ideal manners. And like I was honest, I think that's kind of where Kick is. But I also think Kick is going to be a spectacular platform and has the most upside. And if I were you, I'd be really, really excited. And I'm going to continue to follow the journey and be eager to to help out whenever I can. And hopefully, I get to see Andrew at another DreamHack and go out and spend some time again. So it's hard to get Eddie out of Australia. I've invited him like 10
Hey,
times.
you're going to come to Australia, you said. You're coming to Melbourne. You said you're coming here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would love to come down and see your offices. I talked to Ali about that, and I think the world of Ali's a super good guy. If I could get down there at the end of the year, I'd love to spend some time and see all that you're building, because it's easy sometimes to get obsessed with what's wrong, right? But I always tell my group it's incredibly important to also completely reiterate what's gone right. Look what you guys have built in 2 freaking years. If you surveyed most gamers around the world, what percent are going to know what Kick is? That in itself is massive win. Now, that sentiment might not be exactly where you want it around the world, but sentiment can change. Brand visibility and brand awareness, that's a huge hill to climb. Look how far the platform has come. I just saw, the new beta version come out. Look at the ground you have gained on huge, huge companies in 24 months. So be positive, be optimistic, stay humble, know that there's room for improvement, but never get in this mindset where you're swirling in negativity about the problems, when you can look around you and be like, what we have done in 2 years is absolutely phenomenal. We could change brand sentiment. We can change these things. We can continually adjust and adopt different strategies, but look how much we've already done. So, I applaud you guys, and I'll be cheering for you. And I really hope that you can continue to grow this, um, both on the platform side, on the metric side, and really in the hearts and minds of the end user at the end of the day that opens up a browser, opens up their phone, is going to choose, what platform am I watching this event on? What platform am I going to watch my multi-streaming favorite streamer on? You need to figure out, how does that be Kick? And I'm very confident you guys will figure it out.
Yeah. No, I must say, just going back 1 second, what you mentioned around quantitative versus qualitative sort of analysis, right? I think that's one of the biggest things which allows us that ability to move and be agile, right? Is because, when we talk internally, it's one of the most commonly used terms is we've got the quantitative data metrics. And I'll tell you what, quantitative data metrics right now would unfortunately be telling Kick to shut down right fucking now. we unfortunately don't have that kind of, direct profitability yet, because, obviously, streaming, it's very, very competitive sort of scene, and everyone knows that. But, it's not about looking at it just through that lens, right? It's about looking at it from a qualitative perspective and understanding, hold on, there's a bigger picture here, there's a bigger play, there's a longer term play that needs to be envisioned. And the only way you can do that sometimes is when you step away and you look at things from a broader lens. You look at that bigger picture, you look at where you want to get to. You mentioned obviously the likes of Elon Musk, right? And everything he's achieved. Like when you think about, all that kind of stuff, right? That wasn't achieved through just direct quantitative analysis and saying, hey, look, is this feasible?
Yeah.
Because everyone said you're nuts, right? But obviously turned around and proven a lot of people wrong, right? So, Jason, just hearing you say all that, right? And even on the brand sentiment, you mentioned such a great part there is sentiment changes, right? And I think we've experienced that with Just Kick these last 2 years. Like we went from the sentiment being like, hold on, this thing's a scam because they're offering us 95.5, they're not going to pay us the money. It went to like, oh, never mind, this is just for gambling purposes only. Then it went through a few phases of having some public perception issues due to like some content and stuff. And it's gone through these phases, right? But it's all changed like in the course of like 2 years rather, Kick has been known for like a whole array of different things. It just goes to show how quickly people like completely change their understanding of something, right? So again, all it takes is that one little win, that one little change for everyone to go, hold on a second, like using your paraphrasing back before of ESPN being known for for sport, right? All it takes is a few wins, a few runs on the board, chalk them up, do great things and talk about it. And suddenly, before you know it, that kick, that word, that name is associated with something brand new. And again, I don't think we're too far off that. I think there'll be a few breakthroughs, right? And I do think that, people know what kick is. They know it's a contender. They're going to continue to see it as a contender, but all it's going to take is a slight, change in strategy that we were discussing before to kind of really capitalize on that opportunity that currently presents. So, Jason, just to recap, man, it's an absolute pleasure just being able to hear you speak about, your passion for business and your passion for what we're doing here, and just, in general, your passion for live streaming esports and everything that comes from that, because, I know I'll be quickly watching back on this VOD and taking a couple of notes, like I said, because you've got wisdom which really truly inspires me. I'll be coming off this call buzzing because hearing you say some of this and obviously reiterating your your support for the platform and the fact that you see the potentials there, and obviously understand that, hey, it's not easy either. There's big hurdles to overcome, because some people don't recognize that either. Some people look at it and go, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And you solve all your problems. Hey, it's not that easy, unfortunately. It's actually, there's a whole bunch of moving parts to it, right? So we're on that, and again, I can't wait to be able to share the story with you, hopefully, when we reach that destination and be like, yeah, Jason was there like day 3 of Kick. We spoke about it and, supported us, every step of the way and believed in the platform from the day one. And I hope to be able to, see you in Dallas or maybe you out here in Melbourne, and we can, joke about those early days and look back on the success, no different to how you've done exactly with, you said with Twitch, right? You were there from day dot and you saw them rise and succeed, and you look back and cherish those memories, right? So it's, it's great to have you as a supporter. And again, we're here, hopefully able to support you somehow too, and find ways to work closer with esports in general, with complexity in some way, shape or form, and how we can continue to get our foothold in there, because I know for a fact if we're going to do that, it's going to be in some way connected with you and your broader brand and your broader sort of engagement with the esporting community through complexity or just in general. So, we're really looking forward to it.
Hey, real quick, before we say our goodbyes, real quick, there's 2 things that I want to just pick apart real quick. The first thing I picked up on was Jason Lake is going to start streaming again, and there's a possibility that you're going to be streaming on Kick. All right, if you start streaming on Kick, you let us know day one. Full support. We'll put you up right next to Jake Lucky when he goes live. The second thing that I heard, inside baseball stuff, as far as like Twitch maybe kind of backing away from esports and not being as invested as they once were, that sometimes I think it's hard for the fan base to walk away from a really comfortable home, right? Twitch is a really comfortable home. So I just want to lay out the groundwork there that Kick wants to be that comfortable home too. And you have a unique perspective because you're inside the business, right? But if what you're saying is that competition is good for the business of esports, then I need the fan base to hear that also, that it's okay to be watching esports on multiple platforms because it creates a healthy climate. So just want to put that out there as a button before we say our goodbyes, because I think those were massive things that we heard in this interview.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your weekends and stay in touch. I just appreciate you having me on.
Thanks heaps, Jason. Thank you for taking the early morning with the help of the glitch there. The new complexity flavor, yeah?
That's right. Yeah, complexity clutch. There you go.
Yeah.
Gonna come into about 600 Walmarts here, hopefully by Q4. So
that's massive.
That's a decent.
We're excited. Been busy.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Jason. Have an incredible day. See you, man.
Thanks, Jason.
Take care.
Later.
Awesome.
Wow.
That was great. I tell you, Jason, he's inspiring, isn't he? He's I gave him like what we asked one question, but ended up getting just like this whole wealth of knowledge in terms of just like his journey and everything, you know, he's been on, and again, just kind of, it all comes from this place of like, you know, he genuinely wants to see Kick succeed, and I fucking love that. You know, it's so awesome to know that there's you know, people of his stature out there like rooting for us, right? And you know, he just wants to offer that advice, and you know, again, everything he mentions there is so real and so true. There's so many different areas that need to be focused on, and so many different aspects to this journey that, you know, he gets, and it's sometimes difficult to have those, you know, discussions, because it is very much focused on the you know, what's right in front of you, whether that's the technology, whether that's the product, whether that's the, you know, moderation rules. But there's a bigger picture to it all. There's a bigger strategy that needs to be understood, and you know, Jason gets it, and you know, I like to hope that we understand that too. But it's a journey. It's a hell of a journey, and there's a lot of things that need to be done to reach that point. But you know, that was a great chat, really great chat.
Yeah, man, I'm really glad that he was open to come on. And look, I think that a guy like Jason Lake signaling to the market that, listen, we need to start doing business with Kick. You know, PGL coming here, Blast TV coming here. There's plenty of room for everyone over here on Kick, man. And you know, esports being a major contender in live streaming, and it's just disappointing to hear like that perception of esports is going downhill. But I agree with you, man. Like my 19-year-old isn't stopping gaming. My 10-year-old's not stopping gaming. Like hell, I play duos Fortnite with my kid all the time. Like it ain't going anywhere, man. It's part of the lexicon. It says it's like having tap water in your house. Esports is not going anywhere, and I can't wait for it to grow on Kick, man.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. I think some headway's being made. I think there's a few little bits and bobs that need to be finished up before you know, hopefully make a really big push for that. And you know, all the while, you know, focusing on new and upcoming content too. I think as Jason mentioned, there is you know, there's trends happening elsewhere, right? There are celebrities joining streams and IRL streaming and all this kind of crazy new era as well. It's not about just, you know, sticking with the foundational you know, aspects that we already know succeed. It's about experimenting with what's up and coming as well, you know, because I like to think that, you know, whilst esports and gaming is, you know, 70-80% of live streaming still right now, you know, maybe over time that's going to start shifting too. So it's about investing in the esports side, whilst also, you know, keeping our eyes open on what the future looks like as well. And I think that's what we do really well. You know, we keep an open mind and again, understand where those opportunities lie outside of that as well. But it's, you know, at the end of the day, you got to appeal to the mass. You got to appeal to, you know, winning that global market share, and of course, you're only going to achieve that by hitting on all those points. So, you know, I think we're on top of it, and looking forward to, you know, seeing how esports continues to grow on Kick, because I know for a fact it's gonna get there. We've been talking about it a while, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But yeah, also having Fousey on too. You know, again, it couldn't. You know, it's honestly two completely different guests, which is just so awesome. We're so lucky to have such an awesome lineup here on Kick Talk. You know, having you know, two giants in their respective areas, you know, come join us for a quick chat has been great. Do you reckon, is there any decent questions that have come through chat that we get through? I'll quick note. I wasn't able to get to my computer to type to the mods, but hey mods, do you reckon we could just mute the people who keep asking the same question like 85 times? Like,
yeah,
like,
no. I mean, we get
like,
it.
Come on, man.
But
I'm trying to like read the chat and get some like good stuff come through. I'm like, this same fucking dude has asked the same question. Like, obviously we're not going to fucking answer that. You know, it's just like, duh.
But here's what I want to put out there though, man. Like, listen, from a business perspective, Eddie, you got a busy day tomorrow, man. Like, I personally think that we should, like, it was an awesome episode today. I get that we want to answer questions, but from a business perspective and your mindset in the morning, man, I just want to double down and suggest, hey, maybe we take one or two or three questions,
and then get a couple of questions
and then wrap it up.
Yeah, easy yeah.
Cool.
Is there anything decent come through? I was trying to go through the chat, but I was like, fuck, we're having troubles with the spam, but that's all good.
All right, here's one. Why does new AI mod keep deleting certain commands I have had set up since day one? That's from Fear the Bear.
Yeah, I think the AI mod side of things needs to be tuned a little bit. I think right now, if you got it like heavily set up to be on the more filtering side, it can pick things up as gibberish. I think the most important one is if you set up the AI mod, there's a filter called gibberish, which I think needs a lot of toning. I think it picks up a lot of stuff under this sort of category of gibberish. So just make sure you've got that one turned off. It needs some tweaking. I think that's what's probably catching it. There's different rule sets the AI mod works off, and that there is way too broad. So yeah, again, just play around with the AI mod tools. I think it's about finding that sweet spot. You know, you can see when something was removed by the AI mod, and I think it's just about kind of find that sweet spot in between it.
Yeah, so here's an overall one where, listen, Odablock PR manager always comes into my chat and torches. So here's a pretty good question around X streaming. Just kind of like, what are our thoughts on X streaming and how do we hope to compete?
Yeah, I think X is not really a streaming first platform, right? I think streaming, like we've seen even with like likes of YouTube, right? Like you either got to be streaming first or you're going to struggle. Maybe X pulls it off. Again, back to what Jason was saying, Elon has, these crazy visions and he gets there one way or another. Right now, I don't think X streaming is in a position to compete, but will it be later down the track? For sure, it definitely could be. But at the end of the day, there's a hell of a lot of competition out there. So we're not focusing on one competitor. We're not focusing on two competitors. We're just looking at the market share in general. And, if X goes ahead and does a whole bunch of new stuff, which ends up pushing live streaming as a market forward, then that'll be great. I think it's about almost growing the pie opposed to, worrying too much about your percentage of it. At this point in time, as long as live streaming is growing, as long as other platforms are pushing people into live streaming, then I look at that as like a massive win. The simple fact that X is actually looking towards pushing live streaming is great for the broader live streaming community. So heck, we're gonna accept that with open arms. And if it drives healthy competition, then that'll be great. Maybe they come out with brand new features, brand new ideas that have never been thought before, and we have to start raising the bar. So that'll be awesome. So, I don't think we're worried about that at all. More so potentially excited, but of course going to be keeping our finger on the pulse and watching that really closely.
Cool. Just maybe a couple more real quick, but this is a good. I think this is a good one because trends in live streaming are always changing. There's nomenclature, there's wording, there's things that kind of can get flagged when it comes to moderation. But Check Yourself asks, Kick moderation really needs to familiarize themselves with topics beyond the surface level. He feels that bans have been happening for things that Twitch doesn't even ban for, because Twitch might have a better understanding of the nuance of the meta. So I don't know if that's just someone who's doing just crazy degen content and they're hiding behind this shield of like, oh, moderation doesn't really get it. But I do think that there is some value in the question, meaning that what are we doing to stay on top of the trends when it comes to like moderation,
I think honestly, our moderation policy and where it's at the moment, again, it can always be better, right? It can always be looser in some areas. It can always be far stricter in others, right? I think it's come a really long way. I think the clarity around the moderation is better than it has ever been, right? We're continuing to refine it. We're continuing to communicate with people. We're continuing to adapt around the continuous trends of what we need to do and what we potentially need to loosen up on. I think we are finding a really nice balance. I wouldn't for a second think that Kick is being overly aggressive at all. I think we give people a lot of leeway to create the best possible content they can. But at the same time, by giving people leeway doesn't mean giving them free reign, because at the same time, we have to protect the brand. We have to protect streamers who are doing the right thing and really representing Kick in a positive light. So, I don't think for a second we're going to lose touch with where things sit. The end of the day, as a company, we actually enjoy watching live streaming. I enjoy watching live stream. I know everyone else involved with Kick enjoying live streaming. And I think, to that point, it's really valid that that understanding where trends are at, what's actually going on in the space will help you to moderate it. Because sometimes the way things are perceived are very different to exactly how they were, intended. And I think finding that balance is always going to be really important. You know, to answer the question though, I think our moderation and where it sits is in a it's in a good trajectory. I really do. I feel really confident about it. I think what we're doing is the right thing. I think we're making the right moves. Unfortunately, we can't be completely, you know, we can't allow everything. We have to put our foot down and ban people when they step out of line. There is some stuff that is questionable and isn't a good reflection of the platform. But at the same time, we're not going to let that be an excuse to go too far and start doing, start going over the top. I always come back to this same analogy, right? The easiest solution to absolutely any content moderation policy or subject is to ban people. That's the easiest solution. If you got a problem, ban. If you got a problem, ban. If you got a problem, ban. Like always, the easiest solution to any problem is to banning people. The hardest solution is going, hold on a second, how do we actually, moderate this in a way that comes out as a win-win for everyone, and the platform allows the streamer to remain on the platform, and they also end up doing something that isn't going to hurt the brand. So we're always aiming for that direction. We're always aiming to go down that path. We only go, okay, we're going to put our foot down and ban someone if it's the last resort. So again, it's an ongoing subject. It's, to what Jason mentioned before, right? And what we spoke about, like when we got into live streaming, had no idea some of the complexities that were associated with it. It's been a can of worms. There's a lot of the things that you end up having to go through and having to discuss and having to figure out, you've got no idea about until you actually get into the thick of it and realize this is actually a really, really, really complicated problem to solve. So it's an ongoing discussion. It's an ongoing subject, but I like to think that no matter what happens, we will end up being very competitive in terms of not only offering a safe place for people to stream, but also offering a great place for people to explore what kind of content they can do and make the most entertaining content. So, fully recognize that.
Cool. Last question. We're wrapping it up. That way you can get some sleep, man. But there was a lot of in social media, and this is just I'm encompassing a lot of comments around the mobile app. Apparently there were some updates to the mobile app where it was teasing some live streaming, some TV app connectivity. The people want to know what is going on with that. What was that? They tried to re-upload. That feature is now gone. It was there for a minute and then it went away. What can we share with chat about mobile?
We got some huge updates coming to mobile. Obviously, we got the new web out that's out now, which is great. I hope everyone loves that, by the way. I think that came out Wednesday for North America. So the new web mobile's out. It's been game changer. Been working that a little while. Obviously, that's just the first of many updates we have planned. It's there's still so much more to come. That's just more of a web front end specifically update. Some huge back end changes coming, some huge application level updates coming, some huge features being released as well. So we're working through all that at the moment. But we did accidentally probably leak almost a little bit of the in-app streaming that is soon to come. That's really, really exciting. Obviously, Creator Dashboard was a part of that. That's all coming. I guess if you manage to see that, it's almost a sneak peek into what we have planned. Big updates, big features that we recognize are definitely requested all too often by the community. But I'd recommend just waiting probably a month or two longer. We'll have a brand new, completely updated mobile app out pretty soon, which will encompass, a lot of those updates to come. We recognize how important they are. But yeah, they're not quite ready yet. It was maybe that was maybe a sneak peek of what's to come, put it that way. But yeah, it's all happening. It's all happening. Things are really moving on that product side. And I think as Jason just mentioned before, right, all that kind of stuff, it'll get there, right? It'll get there. There's obviously a lot of work that needs to be done, but most importantly, it's happening, and it's there's a recipe to get there, and we're on it.
Sweet, man. I think that was a good array of questions, man. I think we answered about 7 of them, man.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
There's a few things around, like, some of the same stuff every week. Yeah, I think when it gets to the unbanned questions and stuff, it's time to call it wraps.
Yeah. Time to call it wraps, man. Hey, what a great episode today, man. Hey, real quick, next week we got Crow Gaming, who's going to be coming on talking about some of the things that he thinks Kick needs to fix up. We also have Krista Bites. All right, so Krista Bites is with Unmute GG, and this is a big one, guys, because this is someone who's coming onto the platform, who sees Kick on the outside and has been very vocal to the point where she has made headlines in Sydney newspapers about brand perception of Kick. But we have a cordial working relationship with her over at Unmute GG. So next week is going to be a very interesting conversation about her brand perception of Kick.
Yeah, awesome. No, it'd be great. I think, it's one thing we've really been working on trying to balance out here was, we don't just want streamers coming on who have been using Kick and huge fans of Kick. That's great. Like it really is great to speak to people like that. But, bringing on people who have their reservations, even Jason to an extent, mentioned some of those reservations today. Fousey as well talked about some, but, I think really bringing an outsider in and having those discussions, because I like to think that, we do have answers to a lot of misconceptions around the brand, a lot of misconceptions about what we stand for. So that'll be really, really exciting. I think obviously even Crow Gaming, he's a massive part of the Kick community, but also not afraid to speak his mind when we're not doing things right. So, happy to have that chat with Crow. I'm sure he'll have a whole bunch of really great feedback for us. And, also speaking to outsiders who have been skeptical of the brand previously. I think, using it as an incredible opportunity to, maybe have a small chance of changing their mind on a few subjects, because, at the end of the day, I know for a fact we mean good. We've got the best of intentions here at Kick. We're really looking forward to continuing to shake up the space, and the more people can hear that directly from us, I think is really powerful. So, yeah, that should be incredible. But, it's going to be hard to top today's episode. Today's episode was awesome. I think, both Fousey and Jason kind of stole the spotlight there for a while. They're incredible speakers. They're, incredibly captivating, and they really, definitely shared a lot of insight into their respective areas. And I think, both you and I had the chance to kind of sit back and just, listen to their incredible takes on what's going on. So that was, it's been a great episode and great to touch base with everyone once again. We'll be back, next weekend as usual, episode 13. It's coming along. It's getting into the mid double digits now, which is awesome. We're making ground, and I think, next week should be super exciting as well.
Lucky 13, man. You want to find someone to host?
Oh yeah, let's find someone to host. Who's online?